All right, guys. This seems to be the kind of content you guys like. So today, you've seen the title. We're going to do a reaction to Golden Bell's training video, where he's talking about what would happen if Bruce Lee were to fight a boxer. Because I've seen the metrics. YouTube has seen the metrics. You guys seem to like videos like this. The political videos you don't like, but so much. They say doing this YouTube thing is all about testing. So you guys want to see more of this kind of content, that's what you're going to get. So without further ado, let's react to Golden Bell's training, the truth behind Bruce Lee fight with a heavyweight boxer.
Faced off against a heavyweight boxer. Imagine the nimble, lightning fast kicks of Bruce Lee against the powerhouse punches of a boxing giant. It sounds like the stuff of legends, right? Well, there's an untold story about a showdown between Bruce Lee and a heavyweight boxer that has sparked debates and curiosity. Some people argue that without his feet, Bruce Lee wouldn't stand a chance against a real fighter, especially a heavyweight boxer with deadly hands. But is that true? Did Bruce Lee, when he sparred with this heavyweight boxer, did he actually lose? Well, join me as we delve into this encounter. Was it a classic mismatch or a surprising display of skill and strategy? Hey, we're about to uncover one of martial arts' most debated what ifs. In the heart of
Now,
Hong
now I know I was very, very critical of Michael Jai White, but that's because Michael Jai White is a karate guy. Bruce Lee is a kung fu guy, and you know about the origin of kung fu and the origin of how kung fu is basically designed to take apart Japanese karate. So, and the fact that he trained so many karate people, so like there's history behind that. But as far as the history behind Bruce Lee, uh, directly going up against a boxer, that's something new and very, very different. So I'm very excited to see where this goes.
Kong at St. Francis Xavier's College, a young Bruce Lee found himself at a crossroads. Fresh from being expelled from LaSalle Academy, he was already training in Wing Chun under the guidance of Wong Shun Lung. Wong Shun Lung, Bruce's mentor back in Hong Kong, was not just a Wing Chun practitioner, he was also a formidable fighter in Beimo, the intense rooftop fights of Hong Kong. Wong, who was known as King of the Talking Hands, was not only a Wing Chun enthusiast, before he started Wing Chun, he was also a boxer who also had a remarkable record in Beimo fights. Well, that was before he crossed paths with Ip Man and he was humbled. But anyway, fast forward 2 years from when Bruce first started training in Wing Chun, and Bruce, he was facing a defining moment, an inter school boxing tournament. The stakes were high and the opponents were formidable, especially Gary Elms, who was the two-time defending champion in Bruce Lee's 120-pound weight division. Bruce, with his unique blend of Wing Chun and boxing, which was crafted by Wong, stepped into the ring against Gary Elms. The bout was a spectacle of strategy and skill, with Bruce employing his Wing Chun techniques in a boxing context, leaving his opponent bewildered and completely off balance. Despite being a newcomer to the boxing scene, Bruce's performance was nothing short of impressive. Bruce Lee's victory by unanimous decision was a testament to his adaptability and prowess. However, this win was more than just a trophy. It was a reflection of Bruce's philosophy. See, Bruce was dissatisfied with the limitations that were imposed on him by traditional combat sports. He yearned for an expression of martial arts that was not constrained by conventional boundaries. Well, as Bruce ventured to Seattle, his martial arts journey took a new turn. Here, he encountered a diverse group of friends and students, each with their own background in combat sports like judo and
Well, guys, I have to stop it there because I do want to make some commentary here. What you saw there and what Golden Bell Training, the gentleman from Golden Bell Training was saying is that, at least implied by the editing, is that the straight blast, that's the technique study, if you study the actual style that Bruce Lee trained in with Ip Man, which is Wing Chun, which I do have a Wing Chun book too. I have the Wing Chun companion book here. Let me grab it real quick. Have the Wing Chun companion book here, written by Wayne Bologna here. So I have studied a little bit of Wing Chun from the academic side. not really the physical practicing side. I'm more of an academic when it comes to these things. Except for what I've trained in with boxing, I have a little bit of training here with the peekaboo method, which is the Costamado peekaboo method, which um, the only guy that really made it famous is Mike Tyson. But that straight blast is designed to go straight at your opponent, which fires down the center line. And the reason for it firing down the center line is that the idea is that firing something from the center line is the fastest point between A and B. So your opponent doesn't really have time to move. At least that's the thought of it. So I cannot wait to see how this boxer gets deals with the center line, because boxing, you really are trained to get off the center line pretty quickly. I mean, there's ways that you load punches and you lean to the side, you load a punch and you can attack with your front and rear weapons and things. And to me, Wing Chun just doesn't really deal with that power loading very well.
Boxing. Among his earliest students were Jesse Glover, who was exposed to judo and boxing when he was in the Air Force. Ed Hart was a former professional boxer, and James DeMille, he was a formidable heavyweight boxer during his time that he served in the Air Force. Bruce's ability to completely dominate these experienced fighters, despite their clear size advantage, was a clear indication of his exceptional skills. Bruce's interaction with his Seattle students, especially with their diverse combat skills, it further propelled his quest to refine his martial arts techniques. However, it was in his Seattle days that Bruce Lee began to question the traditional methods that he brought with him from Hong Kong, and he began to adapt them to his physical encounters that he was facing in America. He scrutinized every technique, asking, would this work in a real fight? And his focus shifted from accumulating techniques and forms of kung fu to honing practical, effective methods. It was here that Bruce, along with James DeMille, developed what would become known as the floating punch or the power punch, a technique that symbolized Bruce Lee's fusion of Wing Chun and boxing. It was the floating punch concept that Bruce Lee showing off in his famous 1 and 6 inch punch demonstrations. So Bruce Lee in boxing.
Now, I have talked about this before, about this stance in the last video, about how Bruce is set up to push power from the ground. He's likely tensing all his muscles to create one giant whip style power to push his energy into the person that you see standing here. However, this is a demonstration stance. Very few people fight in this stick kind of situation. The stick situation gives the recipient of all this power coming from the ground very little recourse but to go over into this chair. So this is more of a demonstration ability. Now, one could say that this is for the person's safety, because if they were to stand in a regular fighting stance, all of this force could actually cause breaking of ribs, breaking of whatever tissues that Bruce comes into contact with. So really it just depends on how much force that Bruce is exerting into the body here. I have seen situations where people will have been told to hold pads in their arms so that way they don't get harmed. So kind of the jury's out on this. I don't know how much force Bruce could come up with this. I would love to see numbers on that so we can see just how much power this is. But video games, law, and martial law have been using this move quite a bit in Tekkens. I don't know about using it in real life, but I really would love to see more, especially if someone is bold enough to absorb all this kind of force and not just go over kind of like a stick like that.
And boxing. It was the floating punch concept that Bruce Lee showing off in his famous 1 and 6 inch punch demonstrations. So Bruce Lee and boxing, that's quite the dynamic duo, right? Well, Bruce, he was like a kid in a candy store when it came to boxing. Bruce Lee was studying champions like Sugar Ray Robinson, Joe Louis, and the great Muhammad Ali. But here's a plot twist for you guys. It was Jack Dempsey and not Muhammad Ali who turned out to be the real MVP in Bruce's martial arts evolution. Now, look, everyone loves a good origin story, and Bruce Lee's journey to Jeet Kune Do is no different.
In Cantonese, Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist.
Post his showdown with Wong Jack Man in 1964, Bruce didn't just sit back and bask in his alleged victory. No, it was at that point that he had a light bulb moment. Bruce Lee's expression of Wing Chun needed a little bit something extra, especially in the mobility department. He realized that without the ability to close the gap or chase down a runaway opponent, he might as well be fighting with one hand tied behind his back. Well, at this point,
Yes, Wing Chun was originally created as a women's defensive art. So, keyword defensive. It was not a offensive art. A complete martial art allows you to pursue and to evade someone that you are in combat with. And boxing is gonna be that go-to style because you can evade and you can attack.
is when boxing enters stage left. It was the unsung hero of Bruce Lee's martial arts repertoire. Bruce saw boxing as the real deal in combat, a dance of fists that was all about moving and grooving.
I hope you don't mind if we move our man so that the two of us will have more room to groove.
And what's the crown jewel of this dance? It was the straight lead. Think of it as the Bruce Lee brand of a knockout. It was
There it is.
quick, direct, and no messing around.
Right down the
So
center
all of
line.
your movements must be simple and direct.
Master, what does direct mean?
Direct means not wasting time.
This straight lead wasn't just a random pick either. It's a gem from fencing, which was a cousin of British boxing. Think of it as fencing without the fancy sword. Bruce, being the smart cookie that he was, he took a page out of Jack Dempsey's book. And I mean that literally, since Bruce was a huge fan of Jack Dempsey's championship fighting. And Bruce adapted that straight lead into his own fighting style. But here's the kicker for you guys. The straight lead isn't just about punching, it's a whole philosophy. And it's like Bruce was playing 4D chess while everyone else was playing checkers.
This can be compared to your left jab in boxing, except it's much more damaging.
This concept, that's what you're seeing in Bruce Lee's legendary 1-inch punch. It's not just a party trick, it's the essence of Jeet Kune Do. I talked about this in another video. Now you're getting the real meat. Who are the unsung heroes behind this philosophy that Bruce took on? It was Aldo Nadi, the fencing maestro, Jim Driscoll, the boxing sage, and of course, Jack Dempsey. Together, they were like the three musketeers in Bruce's martial arts universe. Bruce didn't just stop at technique. He was all about that boxer's grind. He was hitting heavy bags, he was slapping focus mitts, and he was sparring like it was going out of style. This was revolutionary back at that time, especially for kung fu and karate crowds in America. Thanks to Bruce Lee, what we see in martial arts training today is a legacy of his innovative blend of boxing and traditional martial arts. People are training that way today because of Bruce Lee. In essence, Bruce Lee was
Now, I do have to add some stuff here too. A lot of people who discount kung fu, they forget that kung fu has obviously been they've been using it's a strike. It has striking parts that are literally 1,000 years old. So this striking, they've evolved to the point where they allow trapping. When you see Bruce moving in and raising and lowering that hand, you might have noticed that in some of those shots, he's putting his hand on top of other people's hands. That is because he's trapping. And sometimes when he traps, he pulls the opponent in while coming in with the other hand, that fist, that straight lead. That creates your intercepting. That creates, I talked about it in the last Bruce Lee video, that creates that car crash that basically multiplies the inertia of the hit. This is where the physics come in. If someone grabs one of your arms that's up and pulls you and you're basically off balance and you fall into Bruce's punch, he's already using that locking system where he locks all of his muscles and uses that floor movement that you saw, and then you fall in off balance into that punch. That's going to magnify the damage. So this is where the danger of a accomplished and skilled kung fu martial artist can do damage. This is for all the naysayers out there who say, "Oh, they can't generate power. It's not like boxing." Don't forget, boxing is just one style that is, if I'm not mistaken, it's not even as old as kung fu. Remember, kung fu was used on battlefields. Boxing is something that is newer, and again, is something that was built from the British. Bruce just incorporated a lot of their techniques to build a more complete system when he moved away from Wing Chun.
When kickboxing before it was cool. He was mixing up hands and feet like he was some kind of martial arts DJ. He took the best of both worlds, the precision of fencing and the power of boxing, and he spun it into the legend that is Jeet Kune Do. Well, all right, let's shift gears and stop talking about Bruce for a moment and talk about the man who squared off against Bruce Lee. It was Joe Orbillo. Now, picture this: a young, scrappy boxer from Wilmington, California, with a record that would make you think twice about trying to take his lunch money in high school. Joe Orbillo, a name that might not ring as many bells as somebody like Muhammad Ali, but in the boxing world of the 60s, this guy was as tough as they come. By the time that Joe or Joey was 19 years old, he stood at a solid 5 feet 11 and he weighed in at 188 pounds, and he racked up an impressive record of 8 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw. I mean, Joe Orbillo actually turned down offers to play D1 football, and he possibly had a shot at the NFL because he wanted to pursue a career in boxing. So he was a real athlete. At one time, Joe was like the Rocky Marciano of his era. He was a bit smaller, a little bit quicker, and he was a fan of trading punches. Joe's career was like a roller coaster ride of brawls and bruises. He danced with some of the toughest guys out there at the time where he was located: Henry Clark, Johnny Featherman, and even the hard-hitting Jerry Quarry. His battle with Quarry was the stuff of legends. Joe was actually in the Army at the time of this bout, and his training camp happened at the same time that he was training to be the point man in his platoon that had orders to go to Vietnam. Despite getting floored in the 4th round, Joey bounced back up like a jack in the box with a vengeance. He eventually lost the fight, but he won the crowd's hearts. Now, in a twist of fate, Joey was supposed to leave for Vietnam a few days after the fight with Jerry Quarry. A ruptured eardrum prevented him from shipping out, and the injury is probably the reason that Joe Orbillo is still alive today.
Wow.
Things didn't go so well for the person who replaced him as point man in his platoon. But anyway, let's fast forward to the twilight of his career, and Joe hung up his gloves in 1975 with a record that echoed his journey in the ring. Joey might not have reached the heavyweight throne, but in the halls of boxing folklore, he's remembered as a warrior
So he
who
was no
never backed
pushover.
down from a challenge.
That's noted now.
Joe's story is a classic tale of raw talent, resilience, and the spirit of a fighter. From the tough streets of Wilmington to the bright lights of the ring, Joe Orbillo was a force to be reckoned with, a true embodiment of the boxer's heart.
So
So
a real
here's where
pro,
the story takes a
basically.
twist
Come on.
worthy of a Hollywood script. Picture this: the stage is set, not in some grand arena, but in the humble setting of a parking lot at the Holiday Inn in Long Beach. The characters? Well, none other than Bruce Lee and heavyweight boxer Joey Orbillo. Now imagine Orbillo, a hard-hitting boxer used to trading blows with heavyweights, and he's standing face to face with Bruce Lee. The scene is almost comical. A parking lot turned impromptu boxing ring with an audience of, well, who knows how many bystanders who were unknowingly about to witness history. Now, as they square off, the air is thick with anticipation. Orbillo with his powerhouse style, and here's Bruce Lee, a whirlwind of speed and precision. And then it begins. Bruce Lee, with the grace of a ballet dancer and the ferocity of a tiger, he unleashes a flurry of strikes that are so fast that Joe Orbillo can barely see them, let alone counter them. Orbillo, this dude was no slouch in the ring, but he found himself in some unfamiliar territory. Each attempt to land a punch on Bruce Lee is like trying to catch smoke with his bare hands. Bruce's speed is otherworldly. His movements are just a total blur. Orbillo is bewildered and can only marvel at the spectacle. This exchange wasn't just a sparring session. It was a fusion of two worlds: the raw power of boxing meeting the finesse of real kung fu. In the grand tapestry,
See, the thing about boxing is all about getting your head off that center line, moving your head after your last punch, offense, defense. But so is kung fu, and Bruce is very fast. Even in the films, you see how fast he moves. We've talked about in my prior video of how fast he can move, and you've noticed how Floyd Money Mayweather moves around the ring.
He's everywhere and then he's nowhere. You think you've got him?
Little
and you
dipsy
miss.
Jewel, you throw the punch and he's not there. And again, it's not just hand quickness, it's the movement of the head.
The way he rolls with punches. Look at the way he makes them miss. I mean, 3-4 shots. This is just extraordinary.
I mean, he's very fast. So odds are this boxer in reality found it very hard to pin Bruce down. Bruce was probably in essence dancing around him. And for all you folks who believe that, Bruce couldn't have taken a punch, there's a chance that he got in a punch or two. And that's what I'm waiting to hear, if he was able to deal with those punches, if he tried to trap those hands, if he used that 1 inch punch at all. Like these are things I would love to know. Also would love to know what kind of gloves they were wearing. Was it the full on, thick boxing gloves that we all know? Or was it like the 2 ounce gloves, or my goodness, were they fighting with bare hands? I would love to know these details.
Of martial arts history, this encounter between Bruce Lee and Joe Orbillo shines as a testament to the universality of combat skills and the respect shared between true masters of their craft. So let's set the record straight for some folks out there on Bruce Lee's boxing ability. Joe Louis, you guys know Joe Louis. He was a titan in the martial arts world, one of the greatest karate fighters of all time. He often sparred with Joe Orbillo because Joe Louis at one point was considering going into boxing. Now, Louis,
Oh
one
wow.
day, he brings Bruce Lee along with him to his training session with Joe Orbillo. Joe Orbillo's watching Bruce Lee in action with the heavy bag, and he couldn't help but be amazed. His verdict: with just 6 months of boxing training, Bruce Lee could snatch the lightweight championship title. Now, this isn't
Oh
just some
goodness.
offhand remark from a nobody or a Bruce Lee fanboy. This is coming from Joe Orbillo, a man who's traded blows with professional heavyweight boxers and was once
Respect.
considered a title contender. I mean, that's like an award winning chef complimenting your cooking and telling you, hey, you got what it takes to, I don't know, run your
There it
own
is.
kitchen at a five-star
Validation,
restaurant. But
dudes.
it's a
Validation.
testament to Bruce Lee's extraordinary potential in the ring. Now imagine Bruce's punches that are so fast, so precise, that even a seasoned boxer like Joe Orbillo's left in awe. It's like trying to catch a shadow. Bruce's speed combined with his power made him a force to be reckoned with, and it was blurring the lines between martial arts and boxing. Now, this story is more than just a testament of Bruce Lee's skill. It's a lesson in the boundless potential of human ability. It shows us that with dedication, passion, and the right guidance, the impossible can become possible.
You see those hand trapping, those hand trapping techniques. This is a lot. This has a lot to do with Wing Chun as well, and we talked about it earlier. But like, just pulling down in these different directions is enough to pull people off. Also, looks like his opponent is somebody that's new, so he's standing chin up and things. But I can pick this thing apart all day long. But we'll continue.
In the grand narrative of martial arts history, this is a moment that stands out as a remarkable what if. What if Bruce Lee had pursued boxing instead of acting and kung fu? It's a question that stirs the imagination, a tantalizing glimpse into a path that wasn't taken. But more than that, it's a reminder of Bruce Lee's incredible versatility and his unyielding pursuit of excellence in all forms of combat. And there you have it, folks. The tale of when martial arts met heavyweight boxing, when Bruce Lee's lightning fast fists danced with Joe Orbillo's powerhouse blows. It's pretty amazing to hear what a professional fighter had to say about Bruce Lee's speed and his potential as a boxer had he ever decided to step into the ring with someone his own size. But hey, guess what? The Bruce Lee lore doesn't end here. Are you curious about another epic Bruce Lee showdown? Well, then you really ought to check out my video on what really happened when Bruce Lee fought a Goju Ryu karate master. It's a story that you don't want to miss.
All right, we're gonna stop it right there, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see me do more reactions to videos like this, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Remember, YouTube rewards engagement like that. Did you know Bruce Lee actually fought a boxer? Put that down below. Do you think that it's total BS? Like, put it down below. I want to get a conversation going. Again, YouTube rewards this kind of thing where we engage. So, guys, please nurture your spirit. Take care of yourself. Take care of your families. I'll see you in the next video.